Hey guys, so today what we're going to do is just talk about running WooCommerce within Acabado, and it's not currently part of the feature set of Acabado, so I wrote some code snippets to deviate around enabling what isn't there by default within the theme to allow it to run. What's in front of you is just kind of an example of what we'll have by the end if you start to build in the Acabado stuff with WooCommerce. And once it's done, you should be able to start adding into the sidebar to have whatever you would like to have as an actual sidebar. And then your products along with the Acabado style styling for the buttons. This way you can click on them, add to cart, you'll see items, you'll have a shopping cart in the end. These all allow you to go to checkout and make your purchase. I'm going to jump into Bluehost real quick. We'll go ahead and load the Bluehost portal. And while this loads, what we're going to do is go copy the domain real quick. So now we'll go over to advanced, and we're going to go to domains. We're going to make it an add-on first. So once this loads, we'll get this part in place. And this way you can set up a whole Acabado theme along with WooCommerce as kind of an overall tutorial. And we'll give this 1 second. Let it load. And what we're going to do is add a cat. So it's going to verify it. What it's going to do is look and see that it sees those name servers that we set up before. And then it says that it validates them. You just want it as an add-on domain, which just makes it a separate location. You'll want to make a folder for it. That way it can be its own domain. We'll go assign. Okay, so now it's done. So that's already there. What we can do now is we're going to go to My Sites. And once we get into My Sites, we'll go ahead and actually start a new site with this domain. So you're going to create site, and we're just going to put WooCommerce and e-commerce with speed. All right, nothing too fancy. We're going to copy this because we're going to go down here and actually just put in an email address. And then we're going to put in a fast password. And then we're going to go ahead and move WooCommerce, whatever domain you put it on. And then I uncheck everything. I always like to start as clean as I can. And then add what I feel I need to add afterwards instead of having things pre-installed for me. So now this is going to go through the setup. There we go. Okay, now we've completed the install and it's up and running. What we want to do now is go ahead and we'll go over to WordPress, and it's going to go ahead and sign us into the portal. Obviously, you don't have to sign in or do any of the normal sign-in process when you do it through the Bluehost portal. And this is going to go ahead and take you in. And what we'll do is go through the default setups and just some of the cleanup portions to have Acabado be nice and clean. I go in first and I go into plugins and I delete and remove the things I don't need. And for some reason Jetpack is always installed and activated. I don't like Jetpack, so I always remove it. I leave Bluehost. If you want comments, I've had to deactivate Bluehost to be able to allow people to leave comments. So I would look and see if you plan to have comments, try and leave a comment yourself. If it doesn't allow you to, then come in here and deactivate Bluehost because it's something to do with our caching. I always activate them and launch the site immediately. I would rather all of my content be found as soon as I put it up there than to wait. Next, what you do is we're going to go into settings. We can go to general. And what you're going to look at here is So those in place, you can put whatever email address you want to. I don't leave it as people can register right now. It's not really my, I don't have a membership site. So when you have a membership site, then you can start adding this. It just becomes a problem to manage because you'll find spam bots and things will register themselves quite frequently. For time zone, I always do just Chicago because I'm in Central Time and it takes 2 seconds to find. I start the date on Sunday because Monday just feels weird. That's just due to our calendars always starting on Sunday in America. And then I go ahead and hit save. When you go into writing, this is where you can actually define what category all your posts go to. So if you're going to have a default, then you don't want uncategorized. When you create a category, you can come in here and you'll have a selector list to choose what one you want it to be. And then you can set what your default post format is. It should always be standard. Most of these will look different depending on the front end and how post formats are handled in the theme. But standard is the one that is, the image and words and the normal setup. I've never posted via email, so I would just leave it alone unless you want to work with your host to figure out how you can do it. I don't like it because when you send it in that way, you don't get formatting. You're basically putting in text. It can help if you're not in the area, where you have access to a computer, because you could type it on your phone and then submit it, and it would actually file it in for you and turn it into a post. So it's an awesome possibility. It just requires a bunch of setup for you. As to reading, we're going to come back in here. I prefer this to be 9 in most cases because a lot of themes will do like 3 posts across, and if they do 3 posts across, then 9 gives you 3 nice rows of 3 posts without the 1 extra at the bottom. It doesn't matter as much in Acabado since it's just one long string, but just as a understanding as to what this controls. Then what we're going to do is move down to discussion. So this is where you can do all of your comment setup, and you can keep how long they're going to keep them open for, because you can close the comments on aged posts that you have, so you could turn that on or off. For permalinks, always come down and just select post name. Unless you're very good at categorization, you're going to cause yourself more grief than benefit. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we need to actually go grab and install Acabado. So I personally come in here and I delete out all but one theme. So whichever one is the current one that's running is the one that I'll just leave in place. And then I just delete the other ones because they all take up space on your hosting account. So they're not the best way to go. So what you want to do is just go to Income School. And when you get there, then you just go to Acabado. In my case, it's expired, so you got to log in. And then you can go to download and install. And then just get the newest version. And then once that's downloaded, you want to go ahead and upload. And you're going to choose your file. Obviously the one you just downloaded, and install. And this way you can actually get yourself installed and set up. We can activate that one, make it what we want it to be as our theme. I'll leave this in case I ever have to fall back to it. I tend to avoid that in most cases. What you'll need to do is go into Acabado Manager now, and then you'll have to put in your subscription email address. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. Okay. Once you do your sign in and it gets activated, it's going to give you this prompt until you either begin to install them or dismiss them. The short pixel one is pretty good for people. It's got good deals on credits most of the time. If you want to do free, it's probably not the best way because it has a limitation in the amount of overall images. So I think it's like 100. So it moves really fast, especially if you try and do like this one-click import. I would suggest you don't do the one-click import unless you've never done a WordPress site before and you would like content to fill in the spots for you that you can go replace. Then I suggest going back through once you make your first post and just deleting out like the post that it creates, because otherwise you just end up with this extra content that is just duplicate and crud that you don't need. So I don't typically use any of them, so I'm just going to go ahead and dismiss it so it won't tell me that I need them anymore. And now we got the Acabado theme up and running. As you'll see, nice and generic. All there is that first hello world, the main post that comes in by default. We're just going to leave it for now because we need something in place so that we can see what exists. What you'll want to do now is go to plugins and you're going to add new. And what we're going to add is code snippets. Basically, this just allows you to insert PHP and other code into your theme, whichever theme it is, and have it be active and usable for you to add functionality, but adds basically zero load because it just is appending in code into the theme itself. So once code snippets in place, you can go see over here. It comes with a few demo ones to kind of explain how you can use it to do different things. What we're going to do instead is go over to acabadotheme.com and download the importable snippet for us. Okay, so what we're going to do is if we go over to acabadotheme.com, and currently it's going to be the top post. If not, a month from now, you could just type in WooCommerce and the WooCommerce ones will come up. So you're going to go to this WooCommerce. This is one to take you through everything that I'm doing in this video with different methods. So if you didn't want to use code snippets and you wanted to just manually make changes yourself, but remember, anytime you do this, you're going to make a change to something that if you update the theme again, all of this would be wiped out and you'd have to manually do it again or not update your theme. I also included all the styles, so the stuff to make the buttons look like Acabado's buttons for look and feel, so you could put that into the custom CSS block and make sure the buttons all look nice. So for code snippets, there's one of two ways. You could either go through, which I put in steps if you wanted to go in here and just do add new and what you have to put in here to run it, or I provided you steps right here where you can actually just import the code itself. So you just right click and do save as, and we're going to go ahead and just save it to downloads. Yes. And then inside downloads, what you want to do then is over here, instead of going to add new, you're going to go to import. And then you're going to go in here, you're going to just say ignore. You can do replace if you know that you're doing an update. If I'm to put out an update to this file, you could actually import over the top of what you have there. So what you do is choose your file. You're going to go ahead and select the one you just downloaded, which should just say enable WooCommerce and Acabado. And then upload file and import. And what's going to happen is it's going to go ahead and import that snippet. So when you go back over to snippets now, what you'll see is there's this one here that says enable WooCommerce and Acabado. What you have to do is just hit the checkbox, which turns on the theme support for WooCommerce inside Acabado. So this just gets you up and functional. The next thing you'll want to do is actually go to plugins and then add new. And now you want to do WooCommerce. So if you do WooCommerce, you're going to go install. And then we're going to go ahead and let it do its activation. And once the activation finishes, we will get the install script, basically a walkthrough on preparing it. So you want to pick your state. You can put in your address. This is for all of the store getting set up, like the taxes and everything else you need. You can do not right now. If you want to come back and do it manually, you can always run the setup wizard again if you need to. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. So it'll come up here and you can run the wizard anytime. The admin has some interesting stuff to it. I haven't played around much with anything other than the WooCommerce side of things. So what happens inside here is now that it's set up, it created those pages for you. So we'll go over to the pages and, I've got to do the setup. That's what I've got to do for the pages to show up. Sorry. So finishing this part is what creates pages. I forgot about that. So we'll go ahead and link in this stuff, and I'll jump forward in just a second, just because I don't need everybody to know my home address. All right, so now that I've got all my personal details out of the way, for payments, you can do Stripe, PayPal, or you could do both. I've tested Stripe through my side. No, I don't care about having a Stripe account set up. If you do this, it'll create one for you and email you, so you could actually have it create most of this for you and send you the details for the account. PayPal is PayPal, and most everybody is pretty aware of what PayPal does for you. And then there's numerous other ones. I haven't gone through most of these. I tested these two because they're the most common online ones. And then you'll want to continue. And then shipping. This one is kind of up to you. It depends on what you're going to sell. If you're going to sell physical goods that you're going to have to ship, you can set up this by default with just flat rate shipping. And the flat rate shipping will allow you to just have one fixed rate that would get charged to people. So, say in the US, you just say that all shipping is $5. You don't care about, if they bought 10 things, it would still be just $5 that you would charge for shipping. They buy one thing, it's $5 for shipping. Flat rate outside of your zone, so like outside of the US itself, for Canada, it would be $10. Those kind of things is how you can manage these. There's a Jetpack thing that helps better calculate shipping and other things for you. I would look at some of those if you were to actually ship packages, because that way you'll not lose money on shipping. So then I continue, and this is where, so this one requires the Jetpack installation for automated taxes, which means it'll do the taxing based off of the location and the zip code they provide, so that you always pull the right taxes. The admin is that admin tool I was talking about. I haven't used it much. You could use it to learn a lot about what you're doing, so we'll leave that one. MailChimp is, you could send and actually add them to an email list, so that could be valuable. And then sending all the Facebook stuff, so tracking people and everything else. I'm just going to undo them all and leave the admin for now. I'm not a tax professional nor a mail list professional, so I won't speak for those. And then there's a lot of extra things that come with Jetpack. I'm just going to skip it because I'm not a fan of Jetpack. And then what it'll do is right here, you can either go straight to create a project or a product for sale, or you can import products. So if you had a whole list of a whole list of products already, you could just import them straight in. What we're going to do is just jump to the dashboard. So when you go over here now, as part of the setup, you'll see all the pages it created. So these all exist now, but when you go refresh up front, there isn't anything here still. So what I would suggest first is to go into menus, and you want people to be able to reach the main content of your site. So what we're going to do is we're just going to name this main menu. It makes it very easy to keep track of what we have where. We'll create a new menu also, because we do need one for the footer, right? That's going to be at the bottom. So I always create the two just to have them in place. When you go to manage locations, then you can put what one is going to be. So primary is that top menu, so you want it to be the main, and the footer's obviously at the bottom, so select footer menu and then click save. This way it knows what items in which menu you put them in and where to place them on the theme. So once we get those ones done, let this come back around, and we'll see. Even with adding those, because there's nothing in those menus, there's still nothing here. So you're not going to have anything to load and be available. So what we need to do is go back into here now, and we can go over to the menus, and they all exist now. What we're going to do is switch over to the main menu, which just tells it to use the main menu here. And we're just going to go toss a few in there right now. We're going to do the home blog. Let's add those first. Right? And then what we'll probably want to do is add, let's do it this way. We'll do, we're just going to do a placeholder called, we'll do it store. Jump back over instead. Let's do store. So we'll do shop. And the shop will have the cart and the checkout. So these ones will come in. What you want to do is do this. When you drag them in, it makes them a sub menu of shop. And then what you'll want to do is, I would think you'd want to do my account separately. And then under my account, you can put these details. So this way, my account reads all of this stuff specifically. So now we'll save the menu. Now we can go refresh, and now the menu's back, and you'll see that we have the home blog shop with a cart and checkout, and then my account, which has all of the other parts about your account itself. So now that we've got the first part in place, now we'll want to go do some configuration, because for me, I think on a desktop you should always have navigation. So when you add this for show primary navigation, it means that on a desktop you're not going to have the menu bar anymore. What you'll just have is your menu. So this way everybody's going to see the options your store has, because obviously you want to get them to the shop. You can add your logo, you can add an image, anti-bounce. Maybe you activate anti-bounce and point them at a product you put inside WooCommerce that is specifically for free, a PDF, whatever your email lead may be, maybe that you put it inside there, so that if they do activate this, you point them at the best option that you have to keep them as part of you. So hopefully that you get the email at least out of it, or you can point it at what is a post that you think should win all the time. The next thing, show entry meta on posts. So when you go look at the posts, this is that white section that's underneath here. So if you turn this on, what you'll see is you get back that meta that goes underneath posts, and it seems to be a 50-50 on people, whether they're interested. So it tells you who it was written by and then what category the post is in. So this is kind of a per person feel as to what you like. I would suggest having it on unless you have a direct reason why you wouldn't want to have it on. As you go down, you can turn on comments if you want. Show featured images takes and puts the featured image of a post above the very top. I'm not a fan of it. I'd rather put the image where I want to put it. Custom CSS is where you can put specific customizations you want for your theme or for your Acabado that'll carry on between updates. These two are custom JavaScript to add in. Tracking has been up and down with people who try and use these for Tag Manager, Google AdSense. I prefer header and footers because I can actually name them and actually keep track of them. And then you can disable ad spaces if you want to. And then this title font is actually what just shows up here. What here is. So menu, or you could just get rid of it. I mean, most people know that that's a menu, hopefully. We've been in the mobile world long enough at this point. That's this text itself, though. So what we'll do then is go look at what we have for the footer. So you'll probably want to put in something about your shop in here. I'm not the best for terms and conditions or linking back. I don't necessarily believe the sidebar is the best way to show that information. but it can be the way. Homepage. Now, this is where we get to customizing kind of how you want the front of yours to be. So maybe the best thing here is to say that you want a hero section, and you would say, you know, come visit my store. And you put goodies, right? And then what you want to do is grab the actual link for your shop. So you can just paste this in. And then when you update, what you'll see on the front end is that you'll have a section that came in now that says come visit our store. And then when they click on it, it takes them to the shop itself. So now you're inside WooCommerce itself, inside the shop, and you're getting them into your store. So we'll leave that as there. You can replace the image. This coffee one is like a default backend one. And then your featured tiles, that's again kind of up to you if you feel a need. I prefer to have one point at YouTube, but you could have different subsections maybe of your shop categories where you said specifically t-shirts, shoes, coats, or you know whatever you have that maybe is a key thing that you would want or that you think people would want to get to who visit your site. Dog collars, or you know dog bowls, and then you can have up to 6 of them. I would definitely say 2 is split 50-50. 3 is in thirds, and then I would suggest you either go with like all 6 or you go with 2 or 3, because if you start to get into the odd numbers, it starts to display not optimally balanced. I mean, like 4 is 4, but there'll be 3 and then there'll be 2. There's some numbers that don't look as pretty to me on the front page. And then these recent articles section, so this section here, this is where you can actually turn on having these show up as the 4 categories within this section. Otherwise, they won't show up there by default. So if you want to have book reviews or something else show up inside that recent post section up front, then what you'll need to do is go down there, enable those, and then now they'll show in here if they exist. So this way you'll actually have more in the post if you make a lot of these. The sidebar is the sidebar. I have instead started building these inside as widgets instead of building them through the sidebar, because then I can place them in any order that I want to place things, because as a widget goes, you can reorganize them. So you can have all these different things and you can just move them around if you want to move them around. And then when you go up here and refresh, hey, look, they're there. Right? So I prefer to be able to move things around if I need to move things around to make it work. But it's kind of up to you. The easier way is inside here for you to set up those. It's just once you set them up inside here, anything that you add to the widgets bar goes underneath them. So they'll take up all the space and you'll have to be down much further before you'll get to the actual sidebar for widget section. So just be aware. SEO, this is where you can come in, put in your information about specifically your site, the title, and what to show up here. And then the analytics code is just the UA portion. So you just want that UA number and paste that into here, not the code. I've seen a lot of people put the whole string of code in here, and then that just breaks everything. And then this is where you can actually override these. So this is whether you enable them or not. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and disable them. But this is also where you can change where they're located at, because their default location would be like Acabado / video review / the review category / the review name. So here's where you could change it to be, you know, my review, or, you know, do a lot of different things to change what it looks like instead of just being that, just so you're aware. If you change those, then you got to go actually fix the permalinks. If you want to add that you're an organization, this is actually where you work on the schema about an organization. So income school It'd be like an organization, like a big group, not an individual publisher. So we'll update that for now, just because I don't need any of those options over on the side, so it gets all cleaned up. And then what you can do next, so that this is more fleshed out for everybody, is we can go into products, and then if you go to all products, nothing's created by default, so you'll have nothing. So we'll just create a product, and this is just to fill in some space. We'll do, an example Amazon product, right? And for an Amazon product, this is the description block. So this goes down below at the bottom of your page. So for now, we're just going to put, this is the description, so you can kind of see where the area is. And then here's where you get to products. So for an Amazon product, we're not a simple product. What we want to do is actually go to external or affiliate product. And what you'll do is put in the URL, I don't know, one of them that I saved, and then check out on Amazon, right? And then don't put prices, obviously, because you don't know what they are and you can't pull them without an API, so you'll get yourself in trouble. Because they're an external, there isn't anything else, because it's going to actually help push them to that link for you. And then the short description is what goes to the side of the product image at the top. So this is a short description about an Amazon product. So this one is just going to be to the side. And then for an image, what we're going to do is look and see. Choose their placeholder just so we have an image. And what we'll do now is go up here, and we're just going to build this as Amazon products. We'll create the category, and then we're going to go ahead and publish this. And then we'll come back over here once this is done saving. And then what you do is go to the shop, and what you'll see is, hey, I've got an item. It's got a button that'll take you to Amazon. Hey, look at that. It takes you over to Amazon for you. So if you back up now, what you're going to do is you can click on a product, and then you can see that the image goes here. This is the short description about the product, and then the button to actually check out on Amazon. So typically you want to flesh out that short description area. So the section down here is where you have bullets. You put in the things that people typically get pulled into or are excited about for the product. And then I shouldn't have that. This is all. So now you've got a list of things, and what you'll see is on the front end, you'll actually have that little list there. So when you're trying to sell things, most of the people see this section. The normal description part that you filled out is actually down here as a tab. So this doesn't help when you're trying to get yourself up and running. And then there's the review section, which is where they can leave reviews about the product itself. So they can rate the product within your site for you. So the next product we will do is just a example download, right? All right, this is a free item. So this is virtual, meaning there's no product to send to anybody, which gets rid of any shipping from your list of things, because if you have it, then you have shipping, right? So it's a virtual object. It doesn't exist other than as a downloadable. So what you can do is you can even set a price, $100, and sale price is $5, right? And then you add the file. So here you just choose it. It's all the stuff that's in your media, so you can upload a PDF into here. We'll use the same picture, and we'll just name it Cool picture. Right? And you can add multiples, so there can be a bunch that are there. You could even limit it and say there's, 5 downloads, and they expire in 365 days. So they can download it up to 5 times within a year. And then we'll make a category as, downloadable items. And then we'll go ahead and publish this one. And we'll show on the front kind of what exists as to this section. So now when we go back to the shop, what you'll see is there's 2 items, and then the one that was $100 that we marked down to $5 actually has a sale logo on it. So if you have a product that you want to sell for $100, but you expect that you really would want $50, right? You could set it as $50 here, but nobody knows that you discounted it and that it's normally $100. And you can set a timetable for what this discount is for too. So on these prices, you can schedule it so it only runs in a specific time frame at that discount, and then it reverts back to the $100 price. The same thing can be done with the pop-up. You could make the pop-up provide a coupon code for 50% off of a specific, digital good, right? There's the ability to make coupons inside WooCommerce also, where you can make specific coupons that would be like, a user retention to keep them making a purchase from you, right? But if it's a digital good and you've already made it, then you could discount it a little bit and it wouldn't impact you the same way. So now if you go inside this example free download, you'll notice it says add to cart. It doesn't say download. It doesn't say anything that's similar to this, checkout on Amazon. Right? So since it doesn't have this checkout on Amazon, this one routes you externally. This one would go into your shopping cart. So if you say add to cart, now you have something in your cart. So you can actually go look at your cart and see what's there, a subtotal. This is where you can apply a coupon, update the cart, or proceed to checkout. What you can do here, and what's at the bottom of my actual post, is there you can use this WooCommerce menu cart. Actually, we'll add one into your menu. So what you can do is go to add new. And then you can just paste that name in. And what'll come up is this menu cart. So if you add this one, and there's some cool stuff about recovering people who try to leave without buying anything after adding. There's some cool stuff you can do to make your cart far more efficient. If you activate this menu cart, though, what you'll have is this will come up as another option now for you to go customize. So what you can do then is go into your plugins, right? And you'll see this menu cart. And when you go inside here, it's inside the WooCommerce side, by the way. It'll ask you which one to work with. Obviously, WooCommerce is what you installed. But then you come in here and you can select main menu. Always display even if it's empty. Personal choice. If they haven't added anything, maybe you don't want to show it. And then you can display the shopping cart icon. If it's the free and you haven't paid for it, then if you pay for it, you can get access to all these other icons within the plugin. Instead, if you're free, it's just a shopping cart icon, which is fine. And then I would put in and leave all of these the same unless you have a reason to change them and maybe only want items. I prefer to just show everything. So once you hit save, what'll happen is now when I refresh, I get an item actually added here. So it says how many items are in the cart along with what's the total that they've come to at this point. And they can just click there to go straight to their cart. This helps skip some steps in the purchasing and gets them to the checkout faster and allows you to keep moving. And then once they actually do try to check out, they have to put in all their details, right? So it's going to ask them if they have a coupon, which they could put out if they had one. And then you fill in all your information, all your details, and then it's going to give you the total. And then you can do currently only PayPal because we haven't set up Stripe. So with PayPal, you'll place your order. It'll actually pop up PayPal. You can fill it in and submit, and then the order will be placed, and you'll get an email with the information about your download. And then the download would actually be inside here also. If you went to your downloads after purchase, then it would be inside here for them to download, and it would tell them if they had 5 total, that they have 5 total downloads. So you could manage, if it's a product that you know that you're going to update every year, that they have the download for up to 365 days, or you could set it as infinite. You don't have to set a time frame for it. And then once that's in place, you have almost all of WooCommerce ready for you at that point. You can add more. Currently, I had removed the sidebar, but I think with some of the additional plugins that are in there, we may want to take it and put it back. I'm going to work back through the JSON code and the stuff that I do within the snippet, because inside here, inside the snippet itself, is where you'll find that these sections right here are taking any of the WooCommerce page and removing the widget area from the side. So you may want them back if you're going to go put in some of those sidebar objects, because otherwise you're removing them. They aren't going to be here. So it may be something that we'll want back at a time. Hopefully I've shown you how you can get WooCommerce up and running, and the ability to get yourself to a checkout page. And this gives you an easy ability to not need a third-party provider for a digital good for yourself. It also allows you to open yourself up to print on demand from your website. So, mugs or sweatshirts or t-shirts or all those little goods you could, in effect, basically like for those who don't know, like Printify or print on demand, they would come here and buy the shirt, but the order is then sent to Printify to print out the shirt and deliver the shirt to them. So once they go past you, you're not doing the handling on their stuff any longer. So you could do that with a lot of goods. I'm going to keep pushing and adding onto this site all of the little things that hopefully showcase what can be done. And this blog is just going to be oriented towards Acabado with WooCommerce and building a system for e-commerce within itself. This is Josh from AcabadoTheme.com. And if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I'll put links in the description to take you to the websites and the information that's there. And then please feel free to ask questions there. Ask them on my site. I'm always around a phone, at least, to be able to answer them. And I'm always interested in having feedback from you guys as to what I can do to make this more a fully functional environment, and how to give us more power than what was originally given inside Acabado by default. Thank you, everybody. Have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.